said in a recent video that I didn't intend to go all matchy-matchy with my shirt for whatever eye look I was doing that day. And then, yeah, I completely went matchy-matchy with my shirt. Today I'm in a similar position. As I got dressed this morning, I didn't have any expectation of which palette I wanted to play with. I just wasn't sure. And then I was thinking about some new ones that had come into my collection, which is in a video I just shared. I can card it above for you guys. And I thought, ooh, my shirt would look amazing with that palette. And then I couldn't talk myself out of it. So this is what we're doing today. This is where we are. This is the Wildwood palette from Alter Ego. It is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Yucca, and this is my first time trying Alter Ego at all. I have heard from every video that I saw that this is the absolute best, not only dupe palette from Alter Ego, but also their very best formula. So I'm pretty excited. I think that these colors, depending on how I use them, can be a little tricky on me. A lot of these colors exist within my eye. I used to think that I had brown eyes, and then once I started eyeshadow and I started seeing my eyes very close, I realized they're more like hazel because there's a lot of brown in them, but then they have little flecks of gold, these warm golden tones and green. And so people say that these colors emphasize my eyes. I just have to be careful how I use them. So I'm really not sure how today's, or I would say how today's gonna go, but actually how this palette in general is gonna work out for me. But I got it for $5. I got it secondhand on MERCARI, and I think the colors are pretty. So I'm gonna look forward to playing with it. Not sure what I wanna do. We shall see. My eyes are already primed with the Glamly Icing Primer. Everything I'm using is linked or at least mentioned in the description box. So before we get into the Wildwood palette, I do have a palette pull-in. It's kind of like a panning project, kind of not. I think it's closest to No Pan Left Behind, where you use every pan in the palette, but I've actually customized it to, I have to use them in consecutive order. So I've used up through here, now I'm onto this one, Storm Ahead. This is the Lure palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. And Storm Ahead is a lovely mauvey matte color. Oh, it's pretty. It's pretty. I wasn't planning on using anything else. I just remembered my palette pull-in. But I don't think that'll go too badly with my color story for today. I have no idea what I want to do, so I think what I'll do is choose a shimmer first. This one has caught my eye. I was thinking of using that palette pull-in for the whole crease, but I actually think I won't do that because it's going to give me less of an idea of how these colors, how this palette works on me. So I think maybe I'll put it on the lower lash line. Okay, let's just dive in. Honestly, it's funny that I'm not really sure what I want to do here because there's some variety, but there's not a ton. It's a pretty monochromatic leaning color story. I think I'll start with the shade Honey. Put this here. I think also that's a dirty brush. Let's go with something a little bit larger, a little bit looser. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I would love it if I could have a prettier backdrop for you guys, but that's not what I've got right now, so that's okay. I was thinking if I sort of pivoted more towards the wall, at least you'd get less of the bookshelf behind me. But if I do that, then I lose the sunlight from the window, which directly faces the bookshelf. That's okay. So that's a pretty mustardy sort of tone, right? Let's build it up a little bit. Let's take Trail. Wait, should I go more browny or more orangey? I think I'll go a little more orange actually with Citrus. Same brush, I'm wiping it on a napkin that's on my lap, and I'll warm this up a little bit with Citrus. Although really this is a very warm toned palette. No problems with the formula yet. I did watch a lot of videos on this palette. The one that's coming to mind is Alicia Budget Beauty. She directly compared it to Natasha Denona, and I think she did one or two looks with just Wildwood, but then she did another look where she had Wildwood on one side, Natasha on the other side, and her comparison, or comments rather, about the Wildwood palette were very favorable. She said sometimes she couldn't even tell a difference. And it really did, by the time her video was done, you could not tell that there were different palettes on her eyes. They looked the same. All right, so that's pretty. Definitely did warm it up a bit. I will wipe off this brush again and go back into Honey just a little. Okay, now we should deepen further, right? It could stay lighter. My tendency is to deepen the outer corner. I just like to. I also want to see how the formula is working, blending, building, etc. So I will take oak. I've used this one. Now I'm going to take oak. I thought about using this dark green because it so perfectly matched my shirt, but that was, I don't know. I didn't wanna. Do you guys have any alter ego palettes? They've been doing dupes for some time. I don't know if they've ever released their own color story. They might have been a dupe brand from the start. I expect a brand to improve over time. You never want them to stay the same. And so I'm glad to hear that this is Alter Ego's best palette so far, according to many people's opinions, because that means that they're growing, they're learning, they're developing, they're improving. And that is admirable. All right, so I have lost some of that warm shade citrus. I'll go back into it and carry it further onto my lid space here. Or more specifically, further into my crease, because my lid is going to be covered. But there we go. These shadows blend really easily. And I've got 3 in this corner now. This outer corner has 3 and no patchiness. Nope, no patchiness at all. Everything is blending really well. Okay, so now these shimmers. I'm going to try with a flat brush, simply out of curiosity. It seems that a lot of shimmer formulas these days apply very well with the fingers. They pick up nicely and then they tap down nicely. I don't object to using my fingers. I think it gives a nice shine, and I don't have really long nails to get in the way. My only concern with using my fingers is creating hard pan in the shadows, which I don't want, obviously. So if I can get a shadow to lay down quite nicely with a brush, like to pick up and lay down with a brush, I guess I would say I slightly prefer using a brush just because of hard pan. So I've taken a flat brush and I've gone into Ray, and it has picked up quite nicely. It reminds me a lot of Ace Beauté shimmers. I'm gonna put this on dry. I want to see what kind of, I want to see what kind of a finish it gives me dry. That's nice though. That's nice. Okay, it's also light enough to go all the way to my inner corner, so I'll get more Ray and bring it all the way to the inner corner. Okay, so that's dry. Wet would be a little bit more shiny, but I'm going to try it with my finger just for comparison. Yeah, finger's even a little shinier yet. I actually don't think that there's a huge difference between the brush and the finger. That's pretty though. Let's go into a slightly darker shimmer just to, honestly, just to play. Is there a darker? I guess this is the only one that's really darker. This is more yellow, this is more silver, this is more forest green. How about we go into forest green? It's called Thrive. Again, same flat brush, and I'll put it right here. I'm not really seeing any difference. I might have to try that shadow with the green matte and see if it helps pull a little bit more. It looks good. I just didn't really see a difference in those two shimmers. Or maybe it might have been that the one shimmer doesn't build on the other shimmer. You know, I'm a little curious about the cream to powder. So Natasha Denona has a cream to powder formula. I own her retro palette, so I have used the original. They're very grippy, they stay put, and you softly blend out the edges. These are the two cream to powders in this palette. They're not everybody's favorite. Betty Jean, for example, she absolutely hates them. She hates, and has said multiple times, detests the cream to powders from Alter Ego. She's never tried Natasha Denona, I think. And she said that this palette would have ranked way higher than she ranked it if it didn't have the cream to powders. So I'm curious to see if this darker one, Wisp, how it'll pick up on a brush and how it will work it would now be the fourth shadow out here to see if I can deepen this outer corner any more. It's picking up fine. Let's see what it does. Okay, it's definitely pigmented. I see the color on top of the ones that I already laid down. Well, this palette doesn't go super dark, but that is laying down just fine. And again, this is now the fourth shadow in just this outer corner. No patchiness. Okay, it added a nice flavor, like a nice color to that look. Made things a bit more interesting. Okay, I like that. I will pick up the shade Zest, which is this one here. Inner corner highlight, of course. Of course. And now I'm just remembering my palette pull-in as I'm thinking about the lower lash line. So let me lay down Zest. Just seeing how much I can build it up. It is building very nicely. Do I want to put a shimmer there? Hold that thought. All right, I'm grabbing my palette pull-in up here, Storm Ahead. I'll take it with a smaller blending brush. No, that's too big. Not small enough. Smaller. I'm gonna lay this on my lower lash line, starting in the outer corner. This is gonna really make my look a lot more interesting. It's gonna bring a cool tone to it and a completely different color family. Yeah, but I like that. It's a beautifully pigmented shade. The Blend Bunny mattes are amazing. Like, no joke, they're amazing. I think I'll carry this over to where I had gotten this this Zest shade in the inner corner, which just carried through a bit to the lower lash line. I don't want the colors to really blend in together. I'm just gonna have them meet just wherever Zest ended up. I'll take the small brush that I used for that cream to powder, which was called Wisp, and I'm just gonna tap the end of this purple shade so that the outer corner is a soft transition. And now finally, I'm gonna take a very small, precise blending brush and go into the shade Lush, which is this one here, top corner. I'm gonna spray this, and I'm gonna lay this on the lower part of my, or the inner part of my lower lash line, rather. I love a matte inner corner. I've been doing shimmers kind of often, but I really do love a matte inner corner. But I wanted to try this shade to see how it might work as an inner corner highlight. So I'm only putting it on the inner part of the lower lash line, not all the way against, you know, the cartilage of the nose. It would be light enough, for me anyway, as an inner corner highlight. And whatever's on my brush, I think I'll just put up here. That's it. I don't know, guys. What do you think? I think that it looks really pretty. I don't think it looks bad at all. These colors on my skin tone with my eyes, I'm looking forward to seeing, like, watching this video in replay as I do my editing, because to my eyes right now, the way that it seems to be looking is fine. I mean, maybe not the most striking, not the most dynamic or eye-catching, but I don't think it looks bad. I think that I've seen myself, I've seen my eyes look less poppy in other colors. I'm thinking more like navy blue tones that are too close to my skin undertones. Those make me look kind of drab, but I don't think this is bad. I don't know. Tell me what you think. What do you think? I'm really curious. Let me tell you what I did to finish off. In my waterline, I used white. I'm trying out a new one. This is the NYX Epic Wear eyeliner stick. I was so confused because I was hoping to find a retractable one, and I just had a few minutes, ran into Walmart to get a couple of things, headed over to the cosmetics section and found a white eyeliner. And then it looked like it was retractable because it's made of plastic. No, it's not. Because then when I got home and I was like, yeah, no, I ended up breaking the base of it, trying desperately to see, to make it wind up. No, it's not. So then I had to get like a specific metallic I don't know why I said metallic, a specific cosmetic sharpener, because apparently this is plastic, but it's, when you use a sharpener, it just slowly works away, and you want a cosmetic sharpener because the product itself is much softer than pencils or crayons that you might use with a regular sharpener. Anyway. So I only have mascara on besides that for my eyes, and then for my lips I'm wearing this Italia Deluxe liner in the shade 1065 Terracotta, and the NYX, this is Milky Gloss in Mango Lassie. That's everything. Oh no, it's not. Sorry. Almost everything. Here's the Festival palette from Juvia's Place. I mentioned a couple times I've been using this as a face palette, so I ended up putting these two as blush and then this one as a highlighter. Okay, so the Wildwood palette. I'm gonna say right off the bat, now this is only a first impression. I had no trouble at all with the formula. I had very little kick up in the pans. Everything seemed to perform very nicely, really easy to blend and build, and I have 4 shadows in my outer corner, no patchiness at all. So that is important, that's significant. It's not the most varied color story. It's definitely more like a monochromatic. This is a color family, and there's not a huge variety even within this family, and that is unusual for me to buy a palette that's so very almost one note. Not one note, but almost one note. You're gonna get maybe 4 or 5 really different looks from this, and then things are gonna start to look the same. Especially with the shimmers, I was not able to get this shimmer to show up on top of this shimmer, and I thought that they looked different enough in the pan, but once laid on the eyes, this one pulled a lot more yellowy, so then there was less contrast with that. There might be something to be said there for our skin undertones. It might look quite different on somebody who has golden undertones than me with more cool blue undertones, but I do think it's really pretty. And I absolutely love the way that it looks with this palette pulling, because how interesting is that? I never, ever would have thought to pair a mauve matte with these mustard yellow tones, but it's pretty, and I do love it when an eye look is interesting. Not crazy or wacky or wild, but interesting. And this would have been beautiful with matching colors on the lower lash line, of course, or taking the same shimmer and just carried it through. Like, you could have done lots of different things, could have gone really smoky, but since I used that palette pull-in where I did, I think it's lovely. And my initial thought with palette pull-in was to put it in the crease, but that would have detracted a little bit from my first impression of whether or not these colors are actually workable for me. So anyway, of course, I would love to hear your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Tell me in the comments, do you like the look? Do you like the palette? Do you have this palette? Do you have the original Yucca palette? How do you feel that they compare as far as color story and what you can see across the screen? What do you think of today's look with the purple underneath? It's pretty cool, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Of course, I enjoy chatting with you guys in the comments. Remember to check the description box for all of the information, as well as some linked playlists or other videos that might interest you. And I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing if you're new here and you would like to see more content like this. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.